because we're short in time. Perhaps I will keep you up for a couple of minutes after we finish the practical to finish all of the slides today. So we reached up to slide number 31, which is called by your list papillary carcinoma of the ovaries. We strictly consider there is pretty much no such definitive diagnosis. As far as I've told you in practicals, there is mucinous adenocarcinoma and serous adenocarcinoma of the ovaries, which starts at a form of a cyst where there are papillary structures starting to grow, and later they fill in those cysts and eventually they invade in the surrounding stroma. So as a type of tumor, I would call this one serous adenocarcinoma, and the type of growth of the tumor, I would mention that it has formation of papillae and it has papillary growth. But such classification of tumors, only papillary adenocarcinoma, does not appear correct due to the World Health Organization classifications. So when you speak about this type of tumor on your exam, you need to mention that there is a structure which is remnant of ovarian structure here, and it's by remnants of follicles which are covered by cells, which most of these have become malignant. They have grown in the form of cysts inside. We don't have much of healthy ovarian structures remnant, mostly the stroma here, which appears to be almost not affected, but it appears to be undergoing atrophy because it's pushed by the surrounding tumor process which is growing. And at the form of papillary structures here start some cystically dilated follicles which are invading the stroma, and they have proliferation of cells inside which are unfortunately not well observed by this slide. It has been too thick when it was cut, so I pretty much do not like this one. It's informative about the structure of the papillae, but it's not informative about the nuclear characteristics of the cells. Take a look at these cells. These cells are mixed with each other in such an appropriate way that we cannot observe clearly the appearance of the malignant cells. It appears that most of the ovary is invaded by these so-called follicular dilated structures, where inside we have malignant growth of cells at the form of papillary structures. But we should search for nuclear appearance and how the nuclei are different. It appears also hyperchromatic. Okay, they are. It appears malignant by tissue atypia. Yes, it is. But the nuclear characteristics, due to this thick cutting of the slide, are not clear. There are hemorrhages at the center of these follicles which are dilated. There is desquamation of cells and necrosis. Very vague mesenchymal stroma, which is mixed of multiple fibrocytes, fibroblasts, and a couple of smooth muscle cells here and there. And no typical structure of the, take a look at this glandular structure, for example. It appears to be forming papillae. It appears to be first micropapillary growth, then macropapillary growth, but the nuclei are not clear and well observable. They appear to be different from each other, since I see different dark brownish, blackish spots here and there. But the nuclear contour is not clear. I cannot see the nuclear membrane clear, which appears to be from the thickness of the slide, which is prepared for scanning. I'll make sure that they will change it for next year. Now, what we observe here are follicular cystically dilated structures with papillary atypical growth on the inside, starting from the cells of the follicle, which are serous cells, and they start to grow and excrete some substance inside, which is optically empty. Multiple hemorrhages and necrosis could be evident at the center of these follicles. And it appears that all of the stroma is invaded, so that the tumor is not just demarcated in a certain cyst that has started, it's invading in the surrounding space, and it's multifocal majorly. It's surrounded by the capsule of the ovary, which is merely very thin next to the final cystically dilated space in here, and that is why the invasion in the surrounding tissues is quite actually weighted from this type of tumor. It's supposed to have such invasion. So pretty much that's it about this one. Do you have any questions? I'll share then the next one. Okay. Well, stage grade is different depending on the way it grows, depending on how it invades, and whether it's, according to me, it's well differentiated, so it should be G2, if you will. But staging, I'm not quite sure, because I am not aware of the idea whether there are tumor growth and eventually how big the tumor is. That's just part of the ovary, not the whole ovary. And second, yeah, it's well differentiated at least, but it's invasive. It appears to be invasive. At least T2, T3, something like this. Depending on the nodules and the distant metastasis, it will change. We don't have such information. So according to this, we can only speak about differentiation of this type of tumor. Since it's forming papillary structures with lots of necrosis and it's not a solid growth, I suggest that's a tumor which is well differentiated. So let's share the next one, which appears to be